Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special guest whom you have seen before. It's Scott Smiley, the co-founder of Balanced on the Icon ecosystem. So Scott, thanks for being here yet again to talk about your awesome project, man.
Absolutely. Really appreciate the opportunity to come back on the show.
Cool. Yeah, so for anyone who might not have caught our last video, and I will link that down below if folks are interested in watching that after this one, could you give sort of the 2 minute pitch about what Balanced is, what it offers to the Icon ecosystem, and how people can maybe get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Balanced is the first of many upcoming DeFi kind of Lego pieces for the Icon ecosystem. It provides that base layer leverage for ICX holders. It provides 0% interest rates, and an opportunity to trade synthetic assets as well. So you deposit your ICX, you can borrow stablecoins against it, you could trade them on our DEX, and over time we'll be adding several more assets to the platform.
Awesome. So it's web based, right? Where you can go on sort of like Uniswap and kind of run right on and start trading.
Yeah, it's like pretty similar for anyone familiar with like the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem. We kind of combined MakerDAO plus Uniswap into kind of one product, so that way you
Hmm.
can both mint the stablecoin and then trade it against other assets all in one experience. It is similar also to Synthetics in that regard, where Synthetics has a decentralized exchange attached to the minting platform.
That's awesome. So fill us in on the launch. How has that been? What kind of adoption have you seen? And maybe just some cool anecdotal stories that you've seen of people using it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the, I mean, yeah. I just start with the statistics. I mean, I'm like absolutely blown away by the stats. Really, yeah, far exceeded my expectations. We have like close to 2,500 unique borrowers, which is incredible. We have almost 1,500 unique liquidity providers on the decentralized exchange. We have almost 200 million in total value locked. The APYs for participating in the platform are in the hundreds of percent, close to 1,000 for certain what's it called pairs on the decentralized exchange to be a liquidity provider, and we've generated over 400,000 or almost $400,000 in fees in the first week at this point, which is
Wow.
again like really blowing away my expectations for the
Hmm.
protocol. And those fees, go into a DAO fund, but we'll soon have a vote to be able to distribute those fees back to users, kind of like cash back in a way to people who were, staking balance tokens and providing liquidity in the balance token pair. So I'm really excited
Awesome.
for that upgrade as well. And I guess like outside of the statistics, like I'm definitely impressed and like blown away. But by far the most exciting and like humbling aspect of this launch has been the excitement and support of the community. I mean, my DMs have been blowing up with troubleshooting, but not only just troubleshooting, but like like people are just like they love the product and they're telling me, and it feels great, and it's really humbling to get this product out and see that people are like genuinely enjoying using it, and that's really like what's most important to me. And people within the chat room are like our community members. It's becoming self-sustaining after like just a week. I mean, people, they come into my DMs, I answer their questions, and then I see them, hours later, like answering questions of that same question from of other people in the chat,
That's
and like
amazing.
that like I could tear up thinking about that. Honestly, like the
Yeah.
community is like so amazing, and I love it, and it's really like been an incredible part of the experience has been the support and dedication and passion of our community members, and also the team to kind of fix the issues that the community was facing early on. Many all nighters. I mean, it's been a hell of a week, man. A hell of a week.
I believe it, man. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's something that maybe someone who's in the crypto space, but is a user or a consumer of some of these products. I think people maybe don't realize the work that goes into doing that and to building something, and also the process of launching something like this on a decentralized protocol in a decentralized finance ecosystem. Your margin for error is a lot slimmer than
Yeah.
in maybe like deploying a mobile app where you can say, hey, we weren't ready for that, let's pull it back and let's put out a new version, right? You can't pull it back, it's out there, and you've got to then figure out how to fix the experience issues that might
Yeah.
have come up
and,
after.
and people's money are on the line, and it gets
Yeah.
them really nervous. So I make a really strong effort to get back to anyone. Like, sometimes I get a DM. It's like, hey, like I can't find my money. I'm scared, and like I
Yeah.
make sure I try to get back to those people as soon as possible. Absolutely within 24 hours, and I try to be far faster than that as well. I try to get back to people
Hmm.
within an hour or two, and spend the time to engage with the community. Because in the end, this is a DAO, right? Like Balanced is a decentralized autonomous organization.
Hmm.
The team is only like the original early contributors that built the interface and stuff. We're only a very small portion of this product, and for it to be successful, we need these types of passionate community members, and to see it going in that direction so early on with so many people participating as if they're part of the team is really incredible to me.
Yeah, that is incredible. And you brought up a great point that I would love to learn more about, and I think folks would be interested in, right? What role does the balance token play in, not only the governance of the balance DAO, right? But also for the future of the product and its future development. Can you give a little bit of information about how all that works?
Yeah, I think like the most important part of the balance token as a governance token, I'd say there's kind of two key buckets. Um, One of which is adjusting like parameters. Like just a quick example would be right now the origination fee is or let's go with a more practical example would be like the collateral requirements. Right now, to earn balance token rewards, you need to have like 5 times more collateral than you do in debt,
Right.
um, in order to earn the balance token rewards. And what that does is it puts a constraint on the supply of balance dollars, right? So if the community, or if the people, the governance token holders ever felt that there was too much demand for balance dollars and the supply was constrained too much, they could, the governance design that I have in mind, they would easily be able to submit a proposal, vote on it with their balance tokens, and have the protocol automatically execute their will. So maybe they want to lower the collateral requirement to 3x your debt, which would obviously really increase the amount of balance dollars in circulation. So that I think that's a good example. So that's one bucket that's like adjusting parameters, and then the other aspect is kind of reinvesting in the product. So the initial proposal for the breakdown of network fees is going to be 60% to balance token holders that are participating in the platform. So like our users that are also token holders, and then 40% is going to go into a DAO fund, and spending that fund wisely on things like bug bounties, or maybe even I was thinking it could be interesting if the community wants to use those funds to buy back and burn balance tokens, as like a
Smart.
further kind of reinvesting in the protocol, from like direct investment into the product. I think that could be interesting. So quality of management of that fund, I think, is going to be really important as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting concept too. Is in a truly, I guess in a true DAO format, if the community wanted to use the treasury fund for the DAO to buy back tokens and burn them to sort of enrich those who remain as token holders, it's theoretically a perfectly feasible and viable usage of funds.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to also, in a way, like a marketing budget, right? Like you want
Hmm.
to see people, price is like a form of marketing, and using the tokens to repurchase and burn, using the DAO fund to repurchase and burn tokens, I think is pretty interesting.
So I guess this is probably a question that I would anticipate people that are watching are probably going to ask, and so I figured it's best to ask it here. First and foremost, where can someone, in various different countries, get access to that balance token? Where can they get it, and through which mechanism can they get it? Right? Is it stable coins? Is it ICX, etc.? And then I guess following on to that, what is the distribution like in terms of founders, community, etc., in terms of who holds the tokens?
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. So the way you get balance tokens, pretty straightforward. You go to app.balanced.network, and you need to have either a Ledger device with the Icon app installed, or the IconX Chrome extension, and you need to have
Cool.
some ICX to be able to participate in the platform. I mean, specifically, you needed to pay transaction fees because it's on the Icon network, but then
Mhm.
also to get balance dollars and get balance tokens, that would be the primary like on and off ramp would be ICX. And then like the way that you earn them once you're on the platform is you actually earn balance tokens for minting and borrowing BNUSD, Balance Dollars, which is the stable coin of the platform. From like I think the APY on borrowing, right? You're actually getting paid to borrow on the platform is like somewhere around like 600%. I mean, it changes every day. I could check real quick, but yeah,
Real time.
yeah, exactly. Real time checking these APYs. Don't want this to be old news on Hashoshi. This is all real time, up to date. All right, we're at like 800% on to borrow from Balance. So if you so you're earning Balance tokens for borrowing, right? So you mint the BNUSD, you borrow it, and then what can you do with it right out of the gate? The use cases are limited, but what you have is you can use them to buy more ICX on our DEX, or you can use them to buy Balance tokens. And then from there, you can supply liquidity and earn even more Balance tokens. So the current APY on the liquidity pools ranges between 100 to like 950%. So, as we speak, I'm considering other use cases for Balance dollars where they could come into play as a payment solution. I know other members of the community are building other products that will incorporate Balance dollars as a means of payment. So yeah, I mean, this is super early days, and for where we are, I'm just blown away by the support, adoption, and traction that we've gotten within the Icon community and elsewhere.
So, well, I mean, first of all, that's awesome. I mean, if you look at the opportunity out there as someone who can jump in early on a newly released protocol and earn really solid yield, if you're an ICX holder that has been looking for other ways to leverage that and and earn a little bit just to experiment more in the broader DeFi ecosystem, this is a great way to do so. In terms of like that token distribution,
oh yeah,
where is that at?
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, man.
Wrapped up in the first question.
That happens. It's my fault for asking two at a time.
Fair enough. I'll put that one on you. So the token distribution is 20% of the supply is allocated to what's called the balanced worker tokens. Mm-hmm. And the worker tokens are split amongst like six different parties who are all kind of early contributors. And I guess like the way we would hire like more full-time people is by giving them some of our worker tokens and delegating them tasks. So 20% of the daily mined amount goes towards the worker tokens. That's 20%. 25% goes to people who are borrowing or who are minting Balance dollars. Mm-hmm. And then 45% goes to, I think I'm messing up some numbers here to be honest, but let's see, 45%, I think 20% goes to borrowers, 45% goes to liquidity providers, split between, there's 3 different pools. And you can see that on the app, like what the exact breakdown is between each pool. And then 5% goes into an emergency reserve fund, and another 5% goes into the DAO fund to be able to do things like bug bounties and such. Let's see, did I get to 100% there? I'm not sure.
I think so. So you have 45, 20, 65. Yeah, I mean, besides the worker tokens, you might be 5% shy or 5% over, but we're close.
I think I'm 5% shy, and I think it goes to borrowers. I think it's 25%. I had it right the first time. I shouldn't have questioned myself.
Cool. No worries, man. It usually is your initial thought that is the correct thought.
Yeah.
And, so I mean, and the reason why I ask stuff like this is because, those things that are, that are published, right? They're hard to remember, first of all. I mean, that is the first thing, right? People will ask me questions about, token distributions when it relates to different projects and protocols. And the truth is that there are so many different mechanisms by which you can split it up and optimizations and mixes that people think are good or bad. And it becomes very difficult to track, but it is an important metric for people to think about in terms of, where those tokens lie, what are the risks in terms of holding that token, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think what I would like to highlight is that, we're looking at like 70% of the supply is going straight into the hands of the users. And that's really what you need to get a good distribution of like, a lot of different early community members. And, some of those people are going to end up being like the long-term supporters of the DAO.
Right. Yeah. Having most of the tokens in people's hands that use the platform and that will ultimately make the decisions for the platform, I think is the foundation of a solid DAO, and also in decentralized finance, right? It's a slippery slope to have a project where the majority of the tokens lie in, a predefined treasury fund, which is very much dependent on the token accruing value and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, really interesting stuff. And I mean, if you look at DeFi as sort of this industry, right? Because that's really what it's become.
Yeah.
One of the fundamental components of that is the composability of DeFi projects, protocols, platforms, applications, whatever you want to call them, and how each one can sort of be used as a component part in the creation of new and different and powerful other DeFi projects. So balanced, in my mind, is sort of that foundational layer. Have you started talking about how it can be used in the creation of other DeFi applications in the Icon world?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually already thinking about what the next step for Balance is going to be and how we're going to scale adding new synthetic assets and getting liquidity for them. So I'm thinking about kind of my own building blocks that are going to go on top. I know other teams are working on like a yield aggregator, which would be something similar to Urine Finance to be able to help people kind of automate the farming process of balance tokens for ICX holders who are kind of less savvy with using the product itself. And then another project that's coming out is OMM.finance, and that provides a money market, so people will be able to borrow their balance dollars from Balanced at 0% rate, and then lend them on Ohm at perhaps a higher rate, depending
Right.
on like the demand for short-term debt. Like Balanced kind of fits into the Icon ecosystem as like a long-term debt solution where you have like an upfront origination fee but 0% interest,
Mm-hmm.
while Ohm would fit in as kind of a short-term financing solution where you have like a variable interest rate but no origination fee at all. So if you pay it back within like a couple of days, you really paid like next to nothing.
Got it.
So that's kind of how those two will fit together. And then like another product that's in the works is called Equality.exchange, which is kind of the curve of the Icon ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So what that'll do is we'll be able to. So Icon, I didn't talk much about Icon specifically, but Icon is an interoperability protocol at heart, and they're we're in the process of connecting to multiple different blockchains. We'll be able to bring in different assets and different stablecoins specifically into
Mm-hmm.
our ecosystem. So being able to have an exchange like Curve where you have balance dollars paired against DAI from Ethereum or USDC or USDT, like all these other stablecoins, like that's going to be important in terms of like entering and exiting the Icon ecosystem. So yeah, a lot of those building blocks are in place, or at least in development.
Yeah, and DeFi is all about the building blocks. It's how
Absolutely.
can,
Yeah.
like the advent of flash loans, for example, it was very
Yep.
much dependent on, can we give people a mechanism to earn yield and leverage the really, really rich ecosystem of other DeFi protocols and applications that are already there. And so that's the most fascinating part, is because you have, to an extent, interoperability between DeFi applications on one network. As we start to move into other blockchain, network protocols like Icons and Polkadot and Cosmos, et cetera, that start to bridge between others, that composability is going to be even more important and create even more mind-blowing experiences for people in DeFi across networks, and that's super cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm kind of excited to be building Balanced on Icon, is kind of that interoperability aspect, and being able to not have composability only within our ecosystem, but with everybody connected through Icon's interoperability solution.
Yep, definitely. And have you thought about the idea of tokenized securities, right? And that's something that's been discussed quite a bit now, but there haven't been as many projects building this as I would have thought. So
Yeah.
being able to bring, the ability to bring stock trading essentially into the world of DeFi in a real way.
Yeah, I would say like the reason you haven't seen as much of that, just kind of from my background in banking, is because this really isn't necessarily a technology issue as much as it is a regulatory issue.
Right.
Like the current issues that exist within trading equities is really more so like the regulatory burdens associated with it, and those don't just disappear because you throw them on blockchain.
Yeah.
That's how you get in a lot of trouble. So you have seen things with like synthetic um, like stock derivatives. I also do
Hmm.
think that may be questionable from a regulatory standpoint, but
Yeah.
because of the fact that it's like totally decentralized, it's hard to really do something about that. But actually trading, if you were to able to somehow like link your Robinhood account to a DeFi protocol and then like mint a synthetic, like a a tokenized version of that, like that, I think we're far away from because of regulatory issues. Like sanctions. Like I mean, blockchain is like global, right? Like
Yeah.
right now, like yeah, I mean, it's hard to buy like U.S. equities in other parts of the world, mostly for regulatory reasons. So yeah, I think that's part of the roadblock right now, but it's definitely something I would like to see, and I do think we'll see it at some point in the future, just in a much more regulated fashion than the current Wild West atmosphere we have in DeFi.
Yeah, yeah, and I asked you that question because knowing your banking background, I figured you would have an interesting answer, which of course you delivered. So I mean,
Thank you.
if you look at where we are right now in the space, I think it's exciting for people to look at all the opportunities, even outside of the usual suspects, right? The focus has been very much so on Binance Smart Chain,
Mhm.
Ethereum, not much else in terms of DeFi. There's been some movement elsewhere, but I think now, like with DeFi and Icon coming of age, theoretically, the Cardano world might have DeFi coming in the short term, right? It'll be very interesting to see how all of this plays out, especially as interoperability becomes a focal point, which I think it will be in the next, 2, 3, 5 years. That's going to be the biggest pinnacle of technology focus for this space.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I think DeFi is kind of the killer use case of blockchain.
Mhm.
And, I wrote this article with the ICX station team, I want to say back in like 2018 or 2019, called Digital
Mhm.
Nations and DAOs. And I still really support that theory, like, at my core. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think DeFi is going to be a game won by a certain blockchain. Like, I
Yes.
think if your blockchain is in existence and has a community, you're going to have DeFi
Yeah.
because this is like, providing debt and leverage to an ecosystem is really what allows it to build. I mean, again, like going back to my background in banking, like I was a debt guy. Like equities are fun and you have like the guys giving like buy and sell recommendations on certain stocks, but really debt is what fuels the economy. It's what makes the world go round. It's a huge part of all of our lives, whether we know it or not, and allowing people to leverage against their assets and create more value from that does a lot of different things for a blockchain ecosystem. And I firmly believe that like having a robust DeFi infrastructure within a blockchain ecosystem is what can set it apart from others and kind of keep it growing and keep it moving in the right direction.
Totally agree, and it's a sort of the material from which you can build bridges between those sort of distinct, blockchain nations, if you will.
Right. Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and my
And
hope is that
interoperability. Go ahead.
yeah, exactly. And my hope is that it will be a truly borderless future as a result of
Right,
this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
definitely what I believe in as well. Right there with you. So I hope to see it happen. We'll see kind of how it pans out, and I don't really see anything stopping it at this point.
Yep, I don't either. And, I think as much as maybe, some people in the world would like to frame this as a very negative connotated transition, I think it's almost solely positive in terms of its impact and its empowerment of people and its empowerment of, just genuinely, people having more control over their own life and
Yeah,
job and financial well-being.
it is freedom right there for sure. And yeah, I mean people definitely try and cherry pick like the bad aspects of DeFi, the
Hmm.
bad aspects of blockchain. I mean, like the whole narrative that's yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of narratives going around out there right now, but I think like with any big change and with any new technology, that always happens. Like everyone was blaming like, the internet for ruining our kids and all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff, I'm sure. But these days, I mean, I was talking to my mom last night. I literally cannot imagine what work was like without the internet. Like, what did people
Yeah.
even do when they got to work? And I'm wondering what it's going to be like when when I'm her age. Like, what new technologies and how blockchain is going to advance. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing it all play out.
Yep, and this is why I create content right here. It gets the imaginary juices flowing and getting
Yeah,
people thinking about what the meaning of this is beyond just the scope of your, you know, 600 to 800 APY earnings today and tomorrow, right?
Yeah, there is definitely a deeper meaning there besides the APYs.
Awesome.
It's all an experiment, and like this kind of stuff like really it gets the iteration going, right? Like we have over 2,000 users, over 2,000 borrowers, almost 1,500 LPs, and like that gives you the opportunity to experiment and iterate and get feedback from people and continue to improve.
Love it. Love it, man. Well, Scott, it has been an absolute pleasure having you back on the show. I hope folks, that are watching right now are going to either try Balanced or have already done so. If you're an ICX holder, you want to give it a try, I would encourage you to do so. Link will be in the description below. And of course, connect with Scott and the Balanced team on social media. I'll also link those things up. But thanks, man, so much for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again. Another great chat, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always. Everybody, take care and have a good one. Cheers.